If the FAA is not a priority, air safety, then what the hell is? Seriously. And no, I don't blame Trump in the least or Duffy in the least. They're the wise left holding the bag. And they're actually trying to figure out what to do about it. If it wasn't for Doge, if it wasn't for Duffy, if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't know about all of this. And isn't it funny that it's all coming out now? So all of a sudden the Newark airport's a disaster. When did that start? 3 weeks ago? No, apparently it's been a disaster for years. We're having a huge problem, it turns out, with the FAA and airline safety. Did you know that all started under Donald Trump and Sean Duffy? Oh, it's their fault. Now, this system has been a problem, apparently, for decades. And even as back far as the last days of the Reagan administration, where they were spending a ton of money to try and upgrade it, they couldn't get it upgraded properly during the subsequent Bush administration. It was such a disastrous mess. So they had to give it up after billions in cost overruns, and they were dealing with it piece by piece by piece, trying to paste it back together. And so in comes Trump and in comes Duffy. And they, see that? It's Doge. It's Elon Musk. It's Duffy. It's Trump. And Schumer put out this big video thing saying, this is what they are. They're irresponsible. They've been cutting money, cutting it to the FAA. And now look, because Schumer is a sick man, a liar extraordinaire. All the liars of the world, Schumer is right near the top of the list. He's learned well from his Marxist taskmasters. And so he blames it on Trump, Musk, and Duffy? Really? How ridiculous is that? So let's take a listen to Sean Duffy at the White House addressing some of this.
This is not a new problem. We've known this problem has existed. There's been multiple GAO reports over the last 4 years saying you have real problems with air traffic control and you should do something with it before it actually fails. So think about this. The last administration spent $1.2 trillion. The largest infrastructure package ever known to man, they spent, Joe Biden signed right here at this White House. And how much was spent to rebuild air traffic control? $5 billion. And of the $5 billion that was spent or was given, only $1 billion was actually spent. So they have made no investments in the system that we now see having issues in Newark. On top of that, they were focused on things like racist roads. They literally spent time concerned about the word cockpit and changing cockpit to flight deck. It's not funny, that's actually what they spent time on. Or airmen to aeronaut. And so now this administration has come in, and it was shortly after the DC air crash that I started to look at the air traffic control system. And very quickly, I saw one piece of the pie where there was issues, and then scratched further, and there's another piece of the pie. And as we looked at it, we see that the whole system needs to be redone. We need to build a brand new air traffic control system.
And that'll take years. It'll take years. The complexity is unbelievable. Just think about what goes on one tower, let alone hundreds of towers. How you have to coordinate the kind of computer systems and software and all the rest that you need. And you can't make a mistake. And they've tried it before. As I said, they tried it some 40 years ago, and they need to do it again. But his point is, they spent $1.2 trillion on the so-called Inflation Reduction Act with infrastructure and all the rest. And out of that, they've spent $1 billion on the FAA system, the air control system. Buttigieg was a constant no-show. Biden was a constant no-show. And I have another question. Schumer's been in government his entire life. Where was he? Where was the Democrat-controlled Senate? Where was the Democrat-controlled House? Even under Trump, they're busy trying to impeach him and investigate him. This is my problem, and this is the lesson. It's very important. You have people who want the government to get bigger and bigger and bigger, take over more and more aspects of the private sector or your own individual lives and that of your family. The healthcare system, this system and then that system. Look at this. You really want the government to have an even greater role in healthcare? How will that be more efficient? How will that provide better services? Where will the compassion be? Which office do you call? I mean, it could go on and on and on. The government has never proved itself, ever, anywhere, to To be efficient, to be competent, or to be compassionate? Show me. Show me somewhere. Just because they create a program and they have these demagogue politicians and their media surrogates going out saying, see, we care. We're redistributing wealth to those people. See, we care. We're creating a family leave act. See, we care. We're creating this. We're creating that. And then when you look under the rock, you see what a disaster these programs are and how much money they soak out of the private sector that can be used in more beneficial ways. If the FAA is not a priority, air safety, then what the hell is? Seriously. And no, I don't blame Trump in the least or Duffy in the least. They're the guys left with the bag, holding the bag. And they're actually trying to figure out what to do about it. If it wasn't for Doge, if it wasn't for Duffy, if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't know about all of this. And isn't it funny that it's all coming out now? So all of a sudden the Newark airport's a disaster. When did that start? 3 weeks ago? No, apparently it's been a disaster for years. Okay, what about Buttigieg? Should he be held to account? No, he's busy getting ready to run for president. What about Biden? Biden's doing interviews attacking Trump in his own, gibberish language and so forth. And Schumer's doing videos like he's doing a prison video. He's doing videos out there talking about how Doge, Trump, Duffy, their incompetence, their wanting the cut created this situation. Crazy. But that's how they conduct themselves.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.